Welcome to Drop and Give Me 20, where you learn keys to entrepreneurial success as Lindsay Germono interviews business owners with military backgrounds on what works and what doesn't. Listen as they focus on the stories, both challenges and wins, that military entrepreneurs have faced in growing their businesses.
Welcome to another episode of Drop and Give Me 20. I am your host, Lindsay Germono. Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company. And Germono Advertising Company is a full-service marketing and advertising firm located in Norfolk, Virginia. We do hope that you'll check us out in addition to listening to this fantastic podcast. Today, I am joined by Becky Hoy. Becky and I, we've met online, of course, just like every other thing in, doing business in 2020, where you get connected with folks, and I'm very familiar with her company. Becky, good morning.
Good morning, Lindsay. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. So before you introduce yourself, I'm going to read something that I thought was really interesting to the listeners, just so they can get a little sneak peek of what you're all about. So Becky is the owner of Brave Crate. And what I found very interesting about Brave Crate, when I went to your website, Becky, and I was reading the about section, one of the things that stopped me in my tracks was the very first sentence in your about section. And it reads, Becky Hoy believes that deployment is one of the best things that has ever happened for the growth of her marriage and her own personal development.
That's a lot, right?
That stopped me in my tracks. I was like, say what? I had to read it like, did she mean that? What? I don't know if anybody's ever positioned deployment that way to me. So I was even more excited to get on with you because I was like, holy crap, what? Is she okay?
I get that a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, and now I'm sure I have everybody's attention when I read that, give us a little rundown of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I am a military spouse. My husband is active in the Army, and really Brave Crate, which let me back up for anyone who hasn't heard of Brave Crate before. We are a monthly subscription box, a deployment countdown box for military spouses who are counting down at home while their service member is deployed.
So the boxes go not to the deployed service member, but to the spouse at home.
Exactly. It's kind of like a reverse care package, right? We spend a lot of time sending care packages to our service members. Yes. And we found that service members love sending something back home too. And military spouses appreciate having something every month to look forward to. It really helps to pass the time quickly. And when my husband deployed the first time, I was just on the struggle bus. I really struggled with hyper focusing on the days. It just felt never ending. And about 2 months in, I just said, okay, Becky, this is your life. This is it now. Yeah. Deployment is reality. So you're either going to focus on these days and really struggle, or you're going to figure out how to make it a good season for you and a good season for your marriage. And so at that point, which it's probably important to know, my background is in operations. So I'm all about creating systems and being efficient and productive. And so I thought, how do I create a system for this? How do I put something in place to help this feel more productive for me? And so I found that focusing on a different goal or a different theme each month and really using that season to grow personally and to focus on experiencing my marriage in a new way allowed me to stop focusing on the days. And all of a sudden they started flying by. It was like, oh my gosh, I've got all these things I want to accomplish in this season. How quickly that just kind of pushed the time forward blew my mind. So fast forward a couple of years, one of my closest friends was getting ready for her spouse's first deployment. And she was in that same headspace that most of us get into in pre-deployment, the dread and the worry and the fear. And so I thought, let me send her a little care package that has some of the tools and the treats that I used to motivate myself. And what if I did that for her every month? What if she knew each month she would have that to look forward to? And I was not an entrepreneur by nature. This isn't something I ever really imagined myself doing, but it was just something I felt needed to be available to more people. And so Brave Crate kind of snowballed from that. And once it started, I couldn't stop it. And so here we are a year and a half later, and we send care packages, we send deployment countdown boxes to military spouses all over the world who are wanting to really turn this season into a season of growth for themselves and for their marriage.
I know people are listening and they're like, okay, we're going to get in the top of the podcast, but I know people are probably wondering, like, what's in the box? Like Seven, whatever movie, like, what's in the box? Tell us what things that we can, expect when we receive one of the packages.
Yes. So each month has a different theme. So in January, for instance, our theme coming up is goal getter or goal digger, excuse me. And so it's all about setting goals. And so we always try to include something that's just completely self-care oriented. So that might be a bath product, something to just kind of make you feel a little bit pampered. We always include a snack because who doesn't need a snack in that season? And then we also include different self-care and personal development tools that you can use each month to dig deeper into that theme. And so that might be things like calendars, signs you can hang up if you have a countdown wall. Sometimes it's wearables that are inspirational. This month we have a fantastic a necklace from this great company called Gutsy Goodness, and it just says it hasn't gotten easier, I've just gotten stronger. So just things to keep you uplifted and inspired, and to really just delight people once a month in a season that can be really tough.
Excellent. So for those that are listening, you want to go to Brave Crate, sign up. Can you gift, like if I know somebody is getting ready to deploy, can I send the spouse that's staying at home, like can I gift it to them?
You can, and it's one of my favorite things. So we handwrite the notes that you are sending, and I just think that makes such a big impact for people, to get that handwritten note when they get their first Brave Crate that's been sent by a loved one. And selfishly, it's beautiful for me every month when I'm sitting, like I have all the feels while I'm writing those out too. So yeah, we love sending gift boxes for people.
Okay. We're going to transition into the topic of today's podcast. Let's see 7 minutes in. Sorry, listeners. That's how it is sometimes. We're talking about apps. So as you're running your business, Becky, I would love to hear, especially because so many of us that are listening just need that help with organization. You touched on it, that was a strength of yours and something that you have a skill set in. I'm mildly organized. I think I'm okay. I'm much more organized with our clients than I am myself. So whatever it works. But talk to me about, your favorite apps, the apps that you use to run your business and to stay organized.
Definitely. So, and I will say my business runs on apps. I could not run my business without having access to every single app that I'm going to mention. So the first one is really based around productivity. And a few of your listeners, I'm sure, have heard of this before. It's very familiar, but it is just the heart and soul of what I do, and that is Asana. Yeah. If you haven't used Asana before, it's a project management and task scheduling app. I really love it. There are a bunch of these. So Trello is another really popular one you can check out. Yeah. I love Asana just because of the interface. It feels very clean and organized to me. And as someone whose business kind of runs on a monthly schedule, I find that the ability to break it down month by month and to duplicate and repeat my to-do lists is critical. So if you have a business that runs on a monthly schedule, let's say you do the same things for one client every single month, Asana is so helpful for that. And I think the real gold in Asana or Trello or any of the project management tools really is being able to pseudo automate your tasks. Yeah. And so what I mean by that is just, we try to automate everything, right? Like if I can assign it to an email workflow and let it take care of itself, I'm in. But some things a person has to physically do themselves and take action on. And so having something like Asana where it comes up and you've got this calendar and reminders being sent to your phone when it's time to complete that task is that your brain can forget about it. And so it's not just this lingering to-do item. Instead, it's something that you'll get a reminder about. You can attach files to your different to-do items, which is super handy. So you're not searching in Google Drive or on your computer. It just pops up, hey, it's time to do this task. If you have a VA, Asana is gold because you can assign a task to anyone on your team, but especially if it's a newer team member and let's say they're still learning what your SOP is for different tasks. What I find helpful is to actually attach your SOP directly to that task because people are so much more likely to use it if it's right there in front of them. So that's super fun for me. Also, Asana has really fun little features like when you complete a task, sometimes you'll get like a flying unicorn, that comes across your screen. And so it's good positive reinforcement.
I love
it. So
Asana.
that's probably the app that I use every single day. I also task batch. And so it allows me to see in a week, like what are tasks that I could bring together that maybe I don't want to do on Monday and Friday, but I could do them both on Wednesday at the same exact time and save some time there.
Gotcha. Excellent. All right. Asana. What's another one you use?
Asana. Okay. So this one is slightly embarrassing, but it's called Rescue Time. And so Rescue Time is all about helping you figure out where you're spending time on the internet. And so as a business owner, I hear friends all the time talking about how they're like opting out of social media or taking a social media hiatus. And I can't even wrap my brain around it because so much of my life is lived online. And it's where I network. It's where I talk to my customers. It's where I find new vendors and new products. And so I'm always on social media, but I also find myself sometimes veering away from the work I'm doing on social media and onto, the funniest GIF of the moment or, a friend's picture of the dog they just got. And so those little moments of distraction can compound. And what Rescue Time does is it shows you how much time you're spending on different websites, on different social media platforms. And I love it because you can set alerts that will notify you when you've spent too much time there.
Oh, no, it's like bars closed, get out.
Exactly. Yeah, lights off, right? And so but the great thing here is you can kind of see like, okay, have I spent my full 1 hour that I had allotted for Instagram today, and I haven't really done anything on Instagram. Like that should be a little alert for us. The other great thing that Rescue Time does that is really helpful, even outside of productivity and more into your efficiency in what you're doing, is that you can get a report of how much time you're spending. And what what I love to do with that is to see how efficient I can get with something like answering emails or social media. So let's say I want to, increase my engagement 2 times. And in doing that, I want to cut the amount of time I'm spending on social media in half. That lets me kind of track, what is the payoff on the amount of time I'm spending online? So am I spending 1 hour and getting 2 times the engagement, or am I spending 3 hours and getting less engagement than I did before? So you can use that data a little bit to see if you're, not just mindlessly online, but instead really seeing good results from it.
Cool.
So Rescue Time is definitely one that I could not live without and has definitely showed me a little bit about my online habits.
All right. So we got Asana and we have Rescue Time.
Yep. So Asana, Rescue Time. So Toggle is one that I think a lot of folks have not heard about. And Toggle is a time tracking app. And so it will allow you to either auto track your time, so it'll kind of follow along with what you're doing based on the programs it integrates with, or you can go back in and say, okay, this is what I did for the last hour and manually time track that way. This is another great app if you have team members because you can see where your team is spending a lot of their time. And honestly, I recommend time tracking for everyone, and not just in business, but even in our personal lives, to see where we're investing our time, what the payoff on that is. And Toggle does a really great job of kind of making it really simple and giving you an accurate picture of what you're actually doing. And I think so many of us will look back on our day and we'll say like, oh, I accomplished these 3 things, but we aren't actually able to grasp that full picture of like the wasted 2 hours that maybe we got sidetracked. And what Toggle does is it forces you to kind of recognize that so you can decide to take away those distractions, or maybe you decide that that's a place you want a little more education or a little bit more training so that it doesn't take you quite as long to do that. And again, for folks who have a team that they're working with, that's a great way to know which of your team members are rock stars at completing certain tasks so that you can have them invest in the team members who maybe take a little bit longer or need a little bit more support in doing that.
Right. Awesome.
Yes.
All right. So we have Asana, Rescue Time, Toggle.
And those are probably my 3 top productivity apps. Like that's kind of what keeps the wheels turning. So the other apps I'm going to mention are more like social media based. I guess they're all productivity, but really these are more focused around social media specifically. The one app that I think changed my life the most has got to be Planoly. Mm-hmm. And when I first started running Brave Crate, Instagram was my least favorite thing to do. It just was something that took so much time, so much energy. I would get up every day and have to remember to go on to upload my picture. If you've ever tried captioning in Instagram, it's not the most user-friendly thing in the world. So you're spending 6 hours like putting in little dots or trying to add spaces and make it line up perfectly. And then sometimes you post it and it's like wonky.
Yeah.
And so I found Planoly, and what Planoly does is it allows you to pre-schedule your Instagram posts and actually put in the captioning within the Planoly app. And you don't have to do any of that funky formatting. You don't have to spend 6 hours trying to line things up. It's literally what you put into Planoly will be exactly what goes into the Instagram app, which is so nice. And the pre-scheduling is amazing. So if you are someone who task batches, this is going to allow you to batch all of your social media. So you can pre-schedule Facebook and pre-schedule on Planoly. There is a push feature, so you can push from Planoly to Facebook, but of course you want to be a little bit careful with using a whole bunch of hashtags, or if you're tagging someone, having that come through weird. But just being able to actually get on there and write this up, one of the things I really love about it too is that you can upload photos from your phone into the Planoly app and then get on your desktop to type it out, which is so nice. We all love our phones, but sometimes when you're writing, it's just helpful to have that keyboard in front of you.
Right. And I always have the photos on my phone, and then I've got to like send them to myself and then go back to the app. So we use, for those that are listening, Planoly is one, CoSchedule is another, Later is another, Hootsuite is another. So finding the one that works best for you. When we start talking about Instagram, Facebook recently released the Creator platform, and Creator is just a different portal of Facebook where you can line up and schedule your Instagram posts to go out to. So be sure to play around, and the social media consultant in me wants to say that, because we have had clients that loved Planoly, hated Hootsuite, and completely different vice versa. So try to play around with a couple, maybe use one for 3 months and then, use another one. I know that seems kind of crazy to think about it that way, but I love Hootsuite. That was forever my favorite one. So feel free to, look into the different ones and try and figure out the best one for you. So that was my little PSA, I guess. So
no, for sure. Absolutely. And the great thing about all of these different platforms is that they will all spit back at you some analytics. And so being able to go in and see, what your top posts of the last year or week or month were is really helpful just in trying to figure out what the best content to be putting out is. So it's not just about kind of being productive, but also about being able to look back and get a good picture. Excellent. So all of those, Planoly, Hootsuite, they're all fantastic. And I agree. I think everyone kind of has a different visual aspect that works for them. So it can, you might find 2 or 3 that you love.
All right. What else you got?
Yes. So alongside Planoly, Stories Edit is a new piece of the Planoly app that actually allows you to create and schedule stories. I don't think it actually will auto post them for you yet, but it will allow you to schedule them. So whether you're creating a story maybe on Canva or directly within the Planoly Stories Edit app, for me, it just helps me get a lot more intentional with using the Instagram story feature. There are so many, Lindsay, I'm sure you could spit out data about like how much people are using stories now.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, but I haven't heard of the Stories Edit. So I'm excited that we're talking about it because we manually, but that doesn't work for everybody. I mean, that's it's like my job, so I don't mind doing that. But for everybody who doesn't do that, this is something that certainly could help them. So I hadn't heard of the Stories Edit, and that's, again, within Planoly?
It is. So if you go into the Planoly app, you can click over to the Stories Edit portion of that platform and at least pre-schedule, and it'll notify you. It'll say, you said you wanted to post this story, and whether it's, a single block or maybe 3 different pieces of a story, you can do that all there. One of the things I like to do is to go on Instagram and actually record the story, so you can use their all of their little stickers and polls and all of that, and then upload that into the Stories Edit app. So it looks a little bit more native and not quite as curated, which, depending on what you're going for, can be helpful.
So does it carry over those sticker features, like the poll feature and the questions and things like that?
So I would check on the poll, but I know any of the stickers, even like the video stickers that are kind of moving and animated, as long as you download it. So there should be a download option after you upload your video. So instead of posting it, you just download it to your phone, and then you can upload that right back into the Stories Edit portion of the Planoly app.
All right.
So I think, do we have time for one more?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, great.
Let's do it.
So the last one I want to talk about, and this is, I don't want to say it's controversial, but it feels a little controversial, is TikTok.
Oh.
That's how I feel about TikTok too. So TikTok is, it feels scary to some of us, or at least to me, I should say.
Everything feels scary when you talk to people about these things like Snapchat and, people are still kind of freaked out about Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, how do you use TikTok as a business?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And so I really steered clear of TikTok for a while because I was like, there's no way that that's going to be helpful for me. And then I started thinking, well, Chipotle is using TikTok and the NFL is using TikTok. So there's, someone got paid a whole lot of money to decide that it was useful. So let me capitalize on that too. So what I have found TikTok is helpful for is trying to get inside the brain of your ideal customer and kind of reframing the way that your brand addresses their pain points in a way that's really easy for them to digest. And so, for us, we're all about deployment and all about that season of deployment. And usually our brand is super uplifting, inspiring, encouraging. But on TikTok, we get to actually be a little bit silly about that season. And so the payoff is really big. Right now on TikTok, it's easy to kind of garner a following. And so I got 174 followers uploading one video of me singing, what was the song? Some Celine Dion song, All By Myself by Celine Dion. I'm making a joke about it. But the real treasure is in following along with those people who have engaged with and liked your content that you've put together. It's quick, it's simple, and you can kind of go back, look at their page and see what they're posting about that subject as well. And so it gives you this lens into how they're viewing that same topic. So whether it's about, I don't know, if you're selling a razor and you're all about shaving, if they've liked that, that's obviously something that resonates with them. And so it can actually give you some really great content ideas for other areas as well. So if in terms of deployment, if I click someone's profile and I see they're making TikToks about what they're eating during deployment, then that's kind of a new content bucket that I can look toward going forward on TikTok and everywhere else. So I think it's
research and development.
What's that?
I see the little research and development that you're
Exactly. You're not going to sell your product on TikTok. Like nobody's going on TikTok. And well, I shouldn't say that. I don't think you will sell your product on TikTok, but I think you're going to connect with people and kind of be able to address whatever those pain points are in a really digestible and oftentimes fun way.
Excellent. I love all of these.
Me too.
So I hadn't heard of Rescue Time, Toggle, Stories Edit. I've heard of Planoly, but I didn't realize they had a Stories Edit. And then I haven't had enough conversations about TikTok. We just had one with a client like maybe 2 weeks ago, and they are a really interesting kind of client. I don't know how we're going to try TikTok for them and just, I don't know, if it doesn't work, then we'll cut it out. No big deal.
There you go. It's worth a shot. I think it's worth such a small time investment to just see kind of what comes of it.
And one of my employees was showing me the video of the turtle versus turtle thing. And this guy's like doing a voiceover, and he's got the like weird mouth kind of animation thing going on where it looks like it's really stretched out and his face is really scrunched in. And then that turned into like 15 minutes of looking at other stuff. So, I got sucked into the time warp of the app itself, which that happens too.
You can use Rescue Time for that.
But it's research and development, so I have to stay in the app. But, one of the things that we talk about in the podcast a lot when we're working with our or we're releasing episodes is, this concept of being a business owner, listening to podcasts like this, just getting ideas. And I cannot thank you enough for providing these. I don't time track, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should. I mean, I have a good productive system, but like, it would be really nice to see, where my time is being spent. So before we sign off, I'm going to ask you, when you started with Rescue Time and Toggle and, tracking where your time is being spent, where did you find your time being spent that you were like, oh my God, I didn't realize that, I was in this for so long? And kind of a caveat to that is what have you adjusted so you can get out of that? Like, how do we not spend so much time on the things that we do?
So for sure, answering emails and social media.
Okay.
Those are the two big ones for me. And we've talked a bit about the social media aspect. We all know it can be a black hole, but answering emails and being constantly available to answer emails, even client or customer emails, can be a huge time suck, because it's not just a matter of typing off a quick response. Like, you're putting thought into it. And there are often, action steps that you take then related to whatever email you're answering. And so that was a huge shock for me, where I was like, I thought I was doing the right thing by immediately answering people, and then just realizing, no, it's really not the most efficient way to do it. So one of the changes I have made, and this will not work for everyone's business, to be sure, but what works for me is having set email answering hours specifically for my customers. And it allows me, so when they email me, they get an autoresponder. Hey, Brave Crate is outsourcing products right now. And, we're planning your next box, and we're going to answer your email at 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern time. And it gives them this, very clear timeline of, okay, they've gotten my email. They're not answering me. This is exactly when I can expect a response, but it also kind of changes that expectation that at any point they would get an immediate response. And usually people are fine with that. I've never had an issue with someone saying like, no, for most of our businesses, it's not like life or death. Yeah. So people are willing to wait now. Yeah, people are willing to wait if you give them that timeline. And so setting that up and kind of just seeing like, okay, I'm wasting a ton of time, let's say on emails, and deciding, okay, I'm going to then go in and put some boundaries around that for myself can be helpful. And Rescue Time is helpful with that in terms of especially social media and being able to say, okay, you've spent an hour on Instagram. You might want to, it's like the Netflix, are you still watching?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm still watching. God.
Yeah, don't judge me. But it does feel that way sometimes with Rescue Time, but it also makes you think a little bit about kind of where you might be spacing out a little bit while you're doing your work.
Cool. You guys, definitely connect with Becky. Becky, where can we follow you? Tell us, all the things.
Yeah, so you can follow us on Facebook at Brave Crate and also on Instagram at Brave Crate. You can check us out at bravecrates.com. We do have a blog there. We like to post fun articles about the deployment season and life as a military spouse. So you can check us out in all those places.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all of these really great apps with us. And I know this is probably not the last time you and I will connect, because that's our entrepreneurship world is very small. So, but I can't thank you enough. It was so nice to meet you, and I hope that you have a very happy New Year.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. You too.
Thanks for listening to Drop and Give Me 20, brought to you by Germono Advertising Company in Norfolk, Virginia. Please visit our podcast in iTunes, click on subscribe, and leave us a review. Your support goes a long way. When you subscribe and leave reviews, it helps the guests on our show as well. Jump in and let us know what you think. You can also follow all of our guests on the Drop and Give Me 20 Facebook page. We have Instagram and Twitter. Those handles are Give Me 20 Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Germono, and I appreciate you listening to the show.